city of domes.
What's up, Blue Roof Nation, and welcome back to a 90 Kids Guide to Television. I'm Jonathan, and today I want to talk about a show that I literally just discovered. I'm embarrassed to say that I never watched Logan's Run as a kid. I actually just watched. I always knew about it. I always heard about it. I always wanted to watch it. But the way they dressed as a kid, I was like, I'm not watching that disco bullshit. But last year, I finally got around to watching it. And I'm so glad and mainly because I knew what the plot was. That this is a society that kills you before you turn 30. So I was like, alright, well let me watch it before I turn 30. And I watched the movie and I loved it. It was so damn good. I mean, the effects are cheesy. The wardrobe is definitely cheesy. But it has such a great story. It is just so well done. And I know you're thinking, this is a show about TV shows. Why are you talking about a movie? Well, I'm getting there. Not playing. Then I discovered there was a TV show called Logan's Run, made back in the 70s. And I was like, alright, my goal is I gotta watch this before I turn 30. Before I go on the carousel. And months and months and months went by and I did not watch a single episode. It wasn't until late December that I started watching it. And I'm not done yet. I have one episode left. And that's only 14 episodes, but I've been watching an episode a day. But then sometimes, you know, things come up and things get in the way, and then Thursdays are always a nightmare because there's so much good television coming out Thursdays. But I only have the last episode left. So don't spoil it for me now. I'll probably watch it today or tomorrow. But oh my god, this show is so good. It's basically the same plot as the movie. You know, there's this place called the Dome City. Earth goes through a nuclear war, and civilization survives inside of a dome. And it's like paradise. Everything you could want in life is there. In the movie, they straight up had Tinder where you press a button and the person just shows up in your room. God, I miss that. I wish that was real. I'm so lonely. So inside this world, on your 30th birthday, you go through carousel, and the carousel chooses, and you die in carousel, but certain people are chosen to be reborn, and there are people called Sandmen, called the Sandman, whatever, who go and catch runners. Anyone who decides, I don't want to die at 30, they hunt down and essentially kill. So the movie and the show is about Jessica, a runner, and Logan, who's a Sandman, and decides to run. And they escape the Dome City, and then they discover that the outside world is not as desolate and barren as they've been led to believe. And the movie is one simple story. They meet an old man who doesn't have a name and a bunch of cats and all that. But and then the movie's really well done. The TV show, though, they have to extend the story and plot, and so they keep visiting all these other civilizations who have also survived the destruction of the world in different ways, and it's so good. It's such classic television where you could tell they cared a lot about story. Maybe the effects aren't the best, maybe the costumes aren't the best, maybe the budget wasn't the highest, but they cared about story. The writing was so good, the dialogue, the way they spoke to each other, the emotions. So much better than half the shit coming out today. We really are living in the silver age of television, but a lot of it is garbage. Back then, stuff was so much better. Although, I wouldn't trade the television we have now for the television they had then, mainly because I can watch that old stuff plus watch the new stuff I like, and I do prefer serialized storytelling. All of that stuff is very episodic. And I like episodic, but not as much as I like serialized. I like the good serialized television. You gotta give it up to Sopranos, Buffy, Deep Space Nine, shows like that literally change the way we watch television. Because it is, I think, better to have serialized shows. But I wish we could have serialized shows with the writing that they had back then. And we still do, like iZombie, Veronica Mars, Rob Thomas, I'm looking at you. Like, people like him, they do craft those kinds of stories and that kind of writing and that kind of attention to detail. Joss Whedon. So it still exists. But just, I don't know, it seems like for every show like that, there's a dozen that is trying too hard, maybe, you know? But anyways, I really think you guys should check out Logan's Run. I think you'd enjoy it. I mean, they even did like a ghost episode. Like, it's just so good, man. It's cheesy fun that you didn't know you were missing from television. It's only 14 episodes. You should check it out. I'm going to watch the last episode today or tomorrow. Definitely before it turns 30 in April. But you got to check it out. But, yeah, so this has been a 90 Kids Guide to Television. I guess the show is just about... I'm still trying to figure out what exactly all these shows I'm doing are. I'm guessing this one is just me and Ashley and whoever else I bring on talking about shows that we love through the guise of someone who grew up in the 90s. It's not about shows from the 90s, although we will talk about a lot of shows from the 90s. But it's about our viewing shows as people who grew up in the 90s. Make sense? I don't know. Much love. Give us legends.